I'm gonna be 100% honest. I haven't made a video in a couple days, and I think part of it is because I had this more refined idea of what it would be like to make these blogs or vlogs or whatever you want to call it. Over the weekend, I was working on my sewing desk, and I had this vision that I would have it completely set up and I could show you a video of my workspace and talk about 8-bit Healy, like talk about where I wanted to go from here. And I didn't finish my sewing desk setup, so that's part of why there was no video. But part of it is I'm struggling with, I guess you would say, a business model, because I both want to craft to make money, but also I do not want money to be the motivation behind my craft. And that is such a contradictory thing in ways, and I can recognize that, and I don't want to come out and make a blanket statement of I don't want to monetize my craft, because then it's not a sustainable declaration, if that makes sense. Like, I want to sew quilts, and I can really only sew so many quilts before my house has too many quilts. So, my struggle is, well, I want to make the quilts I want to make, and then I want to put them up for sale at an affordable rate, but I don't want to get wrapped up into this tornado that was my life before when I was producing quilts, because I got really burnt out about making the same designs over and over. And I didn't enjoy making people's requests, like a commission quilt. I didn't enjoy when someone would say, I have this vision and I want you to come up with the design and then sew it, because a lot of times they were too ambitious, and so I would pigeonhole myself into this project that wasn't fun, that was too tedious, that wasn't what I was interested in, nerd obsession wise anyway, and it beat me down. Like, even quilts that I loved the franchise of, if it was just too big, it was too much to tackle, I couldn't rebound from it. It was like each of those major projects just drained me, and I wasn't charging enough money. And I hate that money was the motivation, but I was at home. That was my only income. And so, unfortunately, money was part of the equation at that time. Anyway, when I moved to Seattle, city living is expensive. I would have needed to charge $15 per hour for my time. And I'm not going to say nobody thought I was worth it, but my target audience isn't someone who has that sort of disposable income to drop $500+ on a quilt, if that makes sense. I hope it does. I don't want people to be like, oh, you're selling yourself short. There's somebody out there that would pay that. I know that. But the thing is, I want to make quilts because people lose their mind and are excited about it, not because I'm trying to make money and survive off of producing quilts for a living. So, where do I go from here? How do I pay for the supplies needed to continue making my art while not getting wrapped up in the whole making money, making art to make money? So, that's kind of where I'm at, just to be honest with you guys. This is what I'm thinking. And feel free in the comments to tell me your opinions on my thoughts. I'm always open to that. But I think I want to make 8-bit quilts, and the business model would be I would come up with a design that excited me. Then I would, open transparency, put out the instructions on how to make the quilt so that other people can replicate that project, and no one would expect or think that I'm going to make 12 of them over the course of the next year and sell them. And I know that doesn't make it totally accessible, because sometimes people don't want to sew their own projects, they just want to buy them. But I think that I'm going to put out blogs with the instructions on how to sew the quilt design that I make. I will make maybe YouTube videos where I also walk through all the steps so that it's kind of like work alongside me kind of thing, and maybe entry-level sewer can still produce the quilt they want without feeling like they need to have all this experience in quilting beforehand. And then with that one product that I do successfully make, I'll throw it up for auction or something and make the baseline, like the starting bid, just the cost of the fabric, and say like, hey, if you want this video game quilt, it cost me $30 to buy all the fabric and the batting, and I won't take my time into consideration at all, because my time will be a little bit ambiguous, because I'll be making these videos, I'll be writing the tutorials, like that'll take longer than if I'd just sat down and really hammered it out. And if multiple people really want a quilt, then they can bid each other up. Maybe it will make a little bit of money, but honestly, the truth is, I don't care about selling the quilts. I just can't have 50 video game quilts sitting around my house. I have to sell them because I don't want to hoard my own blankets. So yeah, I am totally open to feedback on what people think about that. I am hoping in the next couple weeks, maybe I can make a video and show off my sewing desk, show what kind of projects I am working on, because I have not sewn a quilt in a very long time. And if we're being honest, I think the first couple quilts are going to be quilts that I make as gifts. They're not going to be for sale anyway. I'm still hung up on the last quilt that I was supposed to make that I did not finish. And it was for a fan named Tina, who had a very ambitious steampunk Legend of Zelda themed 8-bit quilt. And I was having a real struggle trying to put all of those ideas together. And I have a design, and I had the fabric, and the squares were very tiny, and I wasn't enjoying making it, and I never completed it. And after bringing this blanket from the East Coast to the West Coast, moving into 3 different spaces, I finally threw it away. I hope that's not like admitting to murder. I threw away an unfinished quilt project because I knew I wasn't going to finish it. Maybe one day I will. Like, I still feel like I owe Tina that prize, even though it's been 6 or 7 years. And Tina, if you're watching, I am so sorry. But yeah, that's kind of where I am. I have all these other ideas of other things I want to make that aren't quilts, and I will struggle with that later. What you guys might not know is when I moved to Seattle, I did work for a bunch of different textile production things, and I got into embroidery for a while, where I was doing commercial embroidery production. And I would love to buy my own embroidery machine, do my own embroidery files, and maybe just buy clothes from the thrift store and embellish them and throw them up online at cheap prices, but sell the digital file of the embroidery file, or whatever. Like, I do have some aspirations about embroidery that I don't know when I'll ever tap into that. I want to work on my tailoring skills so that I can tailor clothes. I don't know if that's ever something that one would monetize or make a business out of, but I don't know. Charging money for my art really killed my motivation to do it, and I'd much rather focus on pleasure projects that maybe somebody would want to purchase over trying to turn it into a whole production, because it wasn't sustainable. I don't have a lot of time in my life now as it is. I work a 40-hour job doing boring office work and I have a family, and I want to spend all the time possible with them, but in my heart I still want to craft. And so I'm just trying to figure out, how do I reclaim that? How do I become the person I used to be and enjoy sewing the way I used to? Because right now it's like I have to forfeit time with my family if I'm going to sew. I have to forfeit other hobbies if I'm going to sew. And so it's been a struggle, and it definitely is not a business for me anymore. But I love you guys. I hope that video offered some clarity. Why, yes, I am driving while I'm talking to you. I'm stuck in Seattle traffic. Obviously, you can see nothing's moving. I'm just sitting here. But hi, how are you? Leave a comment. Tell me what you've been up to for the past 7 years in my absence. I love you all, and I think I'll be back. I think I'll be active on my page again. I'll be changing the name to Life Full of Mayhem instead of 8-Bit Healy, because what crafts I'm doing are going to change. But yeah, I hope it's good to hear from me as much as it'll be good for my heart to hear from you. So you guys take care, and I love you.